society is that weak. I'm sure society takes dictation from all those women walking down the runway, which they see, for maybe 5 minutes every week on some random news report. I'm sure that Stalinist Russia, when many people were murdered, was indeed a utopia, and it was much better than when Western values came in and at least tried to impose some human rights. I'm sure that fashion cheapens its pedestal all the time by appealing to the masses. But sadly, ladies and gentlemen, I am not that naive, and these are only some of the misrepresentations which the affirmative team has made tonight in asserting the nature of the fashion industry and the way that it tries to appeal to society and the way that society responds and who society responds to. With that in mind, I have 3 main questions in this debate. Firstly, which are the harmful elements in our society in terms of creating problems such as bullying and anorexia? Secondly, what are the purposes of the fashion industry which they themselves define? And thirdly, how can the government solve the problem of bullying and anorexia? Now to this first question of what are the harmful elements in our society, and this is the main imperative which Deb outlined from the start, not only from models being affected, but also all the thousands of young girls who tend to starve themselves and tend to have all these psychological problems. Now we stated that the root cause is inherently in the society. We stated that the root cause is a psychological one, caused by group mentality, caused by all these issues within the psyche of young women. All they stated was that society is defined by the fashion industry, and I'm sure they're trying to create a statement about how easily society is swayed by people with many millions of dollars, but we honestly believe that society can form its own judgments. We believe that society is not defined by an industry which tries to remain esoteric and high-end. What we say is that not only is it the psychological problems of society that cause this problem, such as the overreaction to obesity, which has been created, by this bad impression of obesity in the media, but we say that media itself is conveying models in a certain way and cheapening the industry through creating a very strange junction between celebrity and fashion. Because let's face it, fashion is an art form. The women who put themselves out there as models, all they really want is to show themselves expressing some sort of beauty, being out there on the catwalk and representing something. They don't necessarily want to be on the cover of some magazine. They don't necessarily want to be some sexual indiscretions at a party afterwards, like celebrities tend to want to do, like bad models, the bad role models who are celebrities want to do. They are different people. So on this issue of role model, they said that, the fashion industry does itself give people role models. However, we say that 13-year-old girls don't satisfy the demands of these girls who are themselves somehow psychologically disturbed and want to see this strange image of very thin young women fed to them, which is not at all what the fashion industry is trying to do. And to highlight the flaws in the affirmative case, they conceded that media was itself the problem, not the fashion industry, both at second and third. And this itself is case shifting. And furthermore, in their biggest example of the debate, which is France, they also shaped their example to say that they banned size 0 models being portrayed in the media. Not only does this undermine their case, because this was a very fundamental part of the case, this example of France, but this is entirely irrelevant to the debate, because this would make it a debate about media as opposed to the fashion industry. So now to the second question of what are the purposes of the fashion industry? Now, the overriding definition we laid out from the start is that it is a spectacle, it is a product of what society itself does, created in an artistic medium. In that way, it is not designed to be human. It is not designed to be empathetic to what these girls are going through and the expectations which they have placed upon them. It is designed to shock, and it is designed to be essentially an art form. All the affirmative team said is that the purposes of the fashion industry is to sell. Now, if the high fashion wanted to sell, they would lower their prices, ladies and gentlemen. I honestly do not believe that the fashion industry lets itself sink to the level that, low-level designers sink to by, mass-producing all these clothes and selling to all these retailers, which in turn advertise themselves on magazines such as Vogue, on those magazines which do not in fact represent high-end fashion. Then my second speaker talked about the principle of artistic integrity and how this is viewed from the perspective of the women themselves who go on catwalks. For they themselves have respect to their body. Even these women decide to test the different forms the body can take. And how could they possibly convey this sort of art form if they are depressed, if they are anorexics, like the affirmative team tried to paint them as? They are in fact people who keep themselves healthy through doctors, through medical treatment, through being aligned to the compulsory standards which the industry itself sets. And this is why fashion and models get to where they are, by conveying art in its pure form, by conveying art in its untainted form. What we say is that fashion industry is a highly divergent form to pop culture, just to round off this question, which does have a closer interaction with society, and which the affirmative team has tried to confuse the fashion industry with the role of government, is because they think that the government will be paying the bills for when models go wrong, which we think doesn't happen very often. However, when we have a multi-million-dollar industry supporting these models, we believe that this industry is the one that will pay the bills. So with that in mind, we believe that the affirmative team should keep away from models, and that the government should keep away from the high-end fashion industry. Thank you.